Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fandom Post Radio. I am your fill-in host, Cain. Kate could not be here with us, unfortunately, and I know that this is normally her thing, so hopefully I can do a decent job filling in. With us today is our illustrious guest list, starting with Kestrel.
Hey, I get to be first when Cain's host.
Indeed, as always, first in my heart. Then next is DJ.
Hey.
And then we also have Bran once more joining with us.
Hello.
Hello. So today we are mainly going to be talking about the conclusion of the current season of anime and all the stuff that we've been watching and our thoughts and reactions. It looks like we've got at least a couple of shows we have in common, so that's always fun. And I don't know if we really have any news, as last episode was mainly news. Kestrel, has anything really big happened?
Yeah, actually, we do have a few things in the last one.
All right. Well, how about we just jump right into that then?
Yeah, so first piece of news. Crunchyroll has a pretty wide domination of the market. And so Sentai doesn't get that much these days, but they do tend to get stuff that was simulcast by Netflix, or not simulcast by Netflix, but streamed by Netflix, because that's the stuff that Crunchyroll didn't get. So another one of those has been announced, and the first Blu-ray release has been solicited, which is Carol and Tuesday.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. So that first, complete Blu-ray collection is up for pre-order, and they've also announced that it will be getting a limited edition, so fingers crossed for some CDs.
And you said that was Netflix is working with Crunchyroll?
Yeah, no, I was saying that the only things that Sentai can get are the small titles that Crunchyroll passes on, or the big titles that Crunchyroll got outbid by Netflix on originally, and Carol and Tuesday is one of those. So Sentai has licensed like most of maybe half of the shows that Netflix has had for their delay casts, and then like 75 to 90% of the shows that Amazon Prime had back when they were in this business. But yeah, that's a lot of these Netflix licenses that Sentai has gotten, they haven't been able to license the dub that Netflix did, and they've had to do their own in-house Houston dub. This one, they specifically noted the names of the lead voice actors from the Netflix dub in their press release, so that seems to imply that they did manage to get this dub, which is good, because it's a very good dub.
Interesting. Did you happen to see the other spicy Crunchyroll Funimation news? I think I was mainly hearing happened today.
No, I've not seen any news from today.
Apparently they're going to be raising the prices of the subscription fees coming, I think, at the end of October. And that's for both, interestingly, because I know they're supposed to be phasing out Funimation as they merge, but both Crunchyroll and Funimation's annual subscriptions in certain countries are going to be raising their price. I think right now the annual fee is like $99, and they're raising it to $124.99. But
how's that gonna happen?
Yeah,
is it really that much annually? I thought it was less.
I think it used to be like, I mean, if you've had like a Funimation account for a while, it was probably like $50-something back in the day. But if you did not get grandfathered in, it has continued to rise.
Because there are like 3 different tiers, I think, of each of them at this point. And I thought that the base Crunchyroll tier, which still gets you everything that you need, was only like $60 if you did it annually, but maybe that's changed. Yeah.
From what I saw, the reasoning is because they're merging the Funimation library, but I just think it's weird that if the Funimation video service is, getting sunsetted at some point, getting put away, it's weird that they're like, oh, we're just going to tack on a little bit more of a fee before it goes.
Yeah, that actually, a month or two ago, they sent out some notification that the Funimation subscription would be going up, and everyone's like, "What? Why?" Isn't it going
They
away?
want to squeeze a little more juice out of them oranges.
Like they literally
Really what
told,
it is.
told everyone on March 1st, hey, cancel your Funimation subscription right now.
You better, or else.
And now
We're
they're
gonna
like,
get you.
yeah, maybe this is their punishment for anyone who didn't cancel it.
It's not our fault. We warned you.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not surprised that the subscription is going up. I'm going to have to dig into the details of each tier if the same tiers are sticking around to see just how much it's going up. But
yeah. I
that's
don't know
what
if there
happens when you-
was.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't know if there was like an official statement from Crunchyroll or Funimation yet, but I mean, people have been talking about it a lot today, so I assume there's going to be some official talks soon.
Yeah, and they have been slowly, quietly phasing out free content, period. So,
Really?
yeah, this is probably going to be the only option pretty soon.
Wow. That's such a bummer. I remember back in the day when I was first getting into Gintama, I was just using like my free Crunchyroll stuff to get into that, but
Mhm.
yeah.
I have been paying for Crunchyroll since the first day a person could pay for Crunchyroll, which was January 8th, 2009. That's when they started Gintama and they started Naruto.
Damn.
But yeah, it's kind of ironic because like on one hand, it seems like, yeah, this is how most video subscription services have been for a while. You just have to pay for it. You don't just get stuff for free. So it makes sense they're going in that direction now that they're so huge and can really, force people to do that. But ironically, this is the time that all of those services like Netflix and Disney Plus, who have been pay only forever, are starting to introduce ad supported free tiers, which is what Crunchyroll has always had. So they're kind of stepping back, doing the opposite of the curve.
Yikes.
Anyway,
Fuck Disney Plus. I still can't watch Summertime Renters, so
100%.
Yeah. I just want to watch my Tatami Galaxy sequel, goddamn it.
When did that already start? Is that starting this season?
There's I think like 2 or 3 episodes are out, but I wouldn't know because I don't got Disney
Yeah.
Plus.
I mean, it doesn't matter if you have Disney Plus, you have to have Disney Plus in Japan.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
would get Disney Plus if they just fucking put the show I want to watch on it, the show that they have the rights to.
I have always had Disney Plus because I'm a Star Wars and Marvel dweeb.
I love Star Wars too, but I just have the Blu-rays. I haven't watched any of the TV series.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Fucking nerds.
But yeah, even though I have that, I cannot watch these shows that I want to watch because they're assholes.
These are not the anime you're looking for.
Exactly.
What more shows even are there now?
Hmm?
How many Star Wars series are there? Like just like TV series?
Oh, that was a much longer conversation. Hold
I was
on,
gonna
wait.
say they announce a new one
I'll
every month,
spreadsheet.
so
Like specifically new ones, not shit like the animated Ewoks show.
No. Like the new canon shit that Disney's been pumping out recently. Because like before, so huge tangent. I didn't really get into any of the TV shows. I'd only watched the movies until 2020. And then I watched through all of the Clone Wars and Rebels, and I had already watched the first season of Mandalorian. But that was it. Oh, those and Resistance, which I didn't watch, for like canon TV series at that point. And then at the end of 2020, they announced like 15 more. I'm like, wow, I picked the right time to get into this shit. So now they're just pumping it out on Disney Plus like all the Marvel
Well,
shit.
at least you picked the right time to get into it if all you cared about was quantity.
Yeah, right, exactly.
paying for my book.
So you do have, you got that going for you. But I don't really watch a whole lot of it, but a lot of my friends do, and they all have varying opinions on how good any of it has actually been.
That's just the Star Wars fandom in general.
Yeah, and then I know that all of my news feeds are really, really trying to push Andor. It's like, oh, it's so great. It's, innovative, incredible. The story Star Wars fans have been waiting to hear their entire lives. And I'm like, is it really that good? I mean,
That's all right.
It's still
unexpected.
yeah,
still
I mean,
irks me that the Star Wars Visions, because of the few episodes I've watched at like a friend's place, I think you can only watch the dub. in on US Disney Plus.
Really, I let it default to the dub, but I was sure that it had the Japanese track on there, but maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe
It is
maybe it
Disney
does.
Plus, so I
don't
wouldn't
know.
put it past them.
Yeah. Holy shit, this list. Whoa. Wait. Is this real? Oh my god.
So there are like 10 TV series or so, and like 10 more announced. Yeah, I ranked like all of the separate arcs and episodes. Anyway,
Okay.
anime news.
Yeah, anime.
So that we can get to the main discussion. Couple more pieces of news. We've got another, I guess it hasn't specified that it's a new season, because last one was a movie, but a new anime adapting the next few novels of the Rascal Does Not Dream light novel series.
Yeah, I thought it was
Oh.
over. I thought like after the movie, like that's where the story ended because I felt like that was a really good stopping point. I didn't realize it went past that.
Yeah, apparently.
I'm all about it.
Yeah, that movie was great.
Oh, it was so good.
I gotta watch that before the second season happens.
The movie's better than the series, in my opinion.
I agree.
Is it a compilation kind of thing, or is it?
No, it's a sequel.
Yeah.
Oh, it is a sequel.
That's why we don't know if this is going to be another season or another movie or two. Because yeah, they did this whole like Made in Abyss thing where the next arc was just adapted into a movie.
Gotcha.
I wish they did that with the other arcs as well. If we just had like 4 or 5 movies, that'd be wild.
What else we got?
News-wise, I have nothing. I never know any of the news. This is my news.
Yeah,
I learned everything right here with you guys.
I'm very much in the same vein, other than stuff like the Gundam game came out and it's fine.
It's fine. Microtransactions aside.
It is Overwatch with Gundam suits. So if you like how Overwatch plays, you'll probably like this game. Gundam Barbados is an absolute nightmare killing machine.
Oh my god.
I'm terrible at games like that, so I can't really like take my opinion with a grain of salt. But man, when you hear Barbados coming, you might as well just like wait for death.
Just let go of the keyboard.
Yeah, let go of the keyboard. Like, I know there are counter like things to do against it in the meta because there's meta already. But man, I'm just like, as soon as I hear that thing coming and charging up the giant club like deal it's got, I'm like, well, I might as well just go get another beer and wait for my respawn.
Barbados bonk is strong.
Yeah, it is very, very strong.
It's free to play at least, so that's fun.
Yeah, that's true. I know the other game that came out was the new SD Gundam game. I think it's a part of the G Generation line. But that is a big old $60 normal game.
Oh yeah.
So I've never really I've wanted to get into that, but I really haven't mainly because I think those are all strategy RPGs.
Yeah, I have one of the SD strategy games. I haven't played it yet, but it looked cute enough.
Yeah, I have Super Robot Wars on the Vita that's in a similar vein, strategy RPGs, but it's not just Gundam, it's all the others. Like, there's Mazinger and Code Geass and all that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. But that's the extent of the news that I have, because mainly, pretty much, unless it's a true bombshell, I don't hear about it until we record.
I think there was some Kaguya-sama news. I think the movie's coming out this winter.
Yeah, that was my last piece of news.
Ooh. It's this winter, right? Not next winter?
Correct, yeah.
Wow. That's a quick turnaround.
Yep.
I saw the key visual for it, or whatever they call those.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I was like,
released.
Looks pretty.
Yep. One more piece of news I have is the news about the Rurouni Kenshin anime.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so that has been confirmed to be a full TV reboot with brand new staff, cast, and studio, Light and Films, which was already announced, and it will be on the No Itamine block.
Yeah, I've like many things tried to not really pay attention to it at all, and I'll just watch it when it comes out.
Mhm. Yeah,
This is a weird studio.
yeah, I agree. I'm a little concerned.
Which
They're
studio is it?
just super inconsistent. I feel like they've done like things that I love, but I feel like the majority of stuff that they put out is just really subpar.
Yeah,
I didn't.
Which studio is this again? Sorry.
Light and Films. They did Tokyo Revengers, probably their best known work.
Oh, I think I may have seen something from them.
Which I am a huge fan of, but most people aren't.
Of what?
Love and Lies.
Yeah.
Koino Uso.
They did the Kotaro Lives Alone Netflix show, which
Talking
was
about that today. That looks so fun.
It's not, and in a good way. You'd like it. It's good because it's depressing.
It looks really depressing and just really fucking weird.
It's weird. It's good. Good show. Not pretty. So yeah, Light and Films, not the best track record in that department.
They did a Call of the Night from this season, so that's a good bump on
They
there.
do that show?
Yeah.
I did
Apparently.
not know that they were doing that. I don't know why I just haven't looked at which studio is making that, but you take one look at it and that is not their aesthetic at all.
Oh, well, that's how I felt too, because I know that they had like a predominantly, I think it was like a Shaft ex-director or somebody was making it. So
Like a
that's
Shaft
why.
show, yeah.
Yeah. The director directed almost all of the Monogatari series under Shinbo's supervision, and then he also directed Vanitas, which was another sexy vampire show with a lot of Shaft stylistic callbacks.
There was a lot of Shaft indeed.
Yep.
Man, Kestrel burying the lead, saying that Tokyo Revengers was the best, completely glancing over the fact that they fucking did Terraformers, baby.
Right, that was one of their first ones, I think.
Yeah, it's very early on. I'm looking at their works for television series at least, and Terraformers and Terraformers Revenge are right there. You just skipped right over them.
Or is it pronounced Terraform Mars?
Yeah,
Because
it's
they're on
Terraform
Mars,
Mars.
aren't they? Okay.
Yeah, it's done.
I'm not trifling with that bullshit. It's Terraformers.
I just thought the whole thing was like they're on Mars, and like
You
Mars
are
is
correct.
the word.
Yep.
Damn.
Oh, I see. They also did the Initial D movie trilogy co-animated with Sanzigen, which I've never heard of, but
Oh yeah, they're a CG studio.
Yeah.
Sons
Yeah.
again, they do the Bang Dream anime and the D4DJ anime, and they are fucking great. I love them.
that movie trilogy wasn't bad. It's missing the Europop, which is really shitty.
What?
Is that
Yeah.
the point?
How do you miss that?
I guess they just couldn't get. They either couldn't get the original songs because it's a movie trilogy that basically remakes the show in a way similar to the movie trilogies for Gundam and shit. And yeah, the art and the animation and the CGI is great. That's a lot of fun, but the soundtrack just isn't there, which yes, honestly is one of the big reasons to watch it. But everything else is good. Like I don't want to completely tear it down.
Well, that's all the news I got.
All right, cool. Well, then I think if we have all the news covered, we can just move right into talking about stuff for the season. I don't know if anybody had anything they wanted to start off with. I know that there's at least one show that we all watched and really enjoyed, but I kind of wanted to save that for maybe in the middle or something like that. Actually, Kestrel, I want to talk to you about the new Real Akuma.
Okay.
I know you put it low on your list, and I didn't particularly enjoy it either.
I'm glad I'm not alone.
Yeah. What did you think of the weird fucking lighting?
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird. It's. I don't know if they just got a lot of money and decide because they're going outside, like everybody gets shadows and they're like totally blown out. A lot of the time, like it was weird watching it the whole time. I'm used to them being kind of flatly lit since so much happens indoors that it was really weird. Like that's probably the least of its problems in all actuality, but I couldn't fucking get over how everyone is like has all these active shadows and lights, and it kind of like pulled me out of it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I hadn't really thought about the fact that, it's a completely outdoor show, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I thought it was fine. Like, I like stop motion animation a lot. But you could definitely tell that, I don't know if they got like more money or something to make it, because it's a little bit more of a grand adventure, because there's like real Akuma in a VR universe, which is playing on a Switch, which is bullshit. By the way, that they got a full VR thing, whatever, in like a goddamn Nintendo Switch. But yeah, nothing about it really kind of called out to me too much. I think it wasn't nearly as charming as the original, and maybe that's because the original like has that little edge to it the whole time. So I don't know. I wanted to get what your opinion was on it in that respect.
Yeah, I was very curious if you were going to have a drastically different opinion from me, because, yeah, I watched it and I was like, man, am I just not in the mood for this anymore? Because I remember enjoying the first one a lot, but this one, it was like a slog to get through, even though it was only like an hour total. And I just didn't care about anything that was going on.
No, neither did I. I think it's... yeah, Emily and I thought the same. It was just are we just not in the mood for this anymore? But the more I thought about it, I was like, maybe it's just because it's just so much different from the first, and that the first one was a bunch of like kind of small insulated stories that felt like oddly relatable at times. And this was like a big hullabaloo in a theme park, and Real Akuma plays video games and all sorts of other shit. I was glad to see the main lady get with the UPS driver.
Oh no!
I was like, good for you. You get out there and you get it.
Yeah, I guess it was just a show that worked really well in really short vignettes, because that's about as long of an attention span as one has for that kind of storytelling.
Oh, that's a really good point.
So to try to drag that out across an hour of content, maybe that was the issue.
You know what it reminds me of, like in that respect only? It's when shows like the Tim and Eric Awesome Show try to make a movie.
Yeah, 100%.
And the movies are never as good, because that type of humor and like just that type of show can really only exist in those 15-minute, blocks where there's no overarching storyline or anything like that. And maybe that's why this didn't work. And you have a good point there. It was just, instead of getting those little bite-sized pieces of like, oh, they go fishing today, or it's really hot outside and they're trying to figure out how to get cool. It's like a whole storyline over an hour, and you just don't really care about any of the characters that much to follow them over that like span of time. But yeah, I don't know. It's not that I don't like Real Akuma or Kiritori or any of those. I really like Kiritori the bird. That's my favorite. But yeah, it didn't grab us. So I'm glad to see at least you watched it. So in that respect, if we counted that, I have 5 shows this season, which is 66% higher than usual. So really picking up my game here.
Damn.
Yep. Get with me.
And this is a relatively light, kind of disappointing season overall. So I can't wait to see what happens next season.
Oh my god!
Which is
the whiplash.
I don't know. I was thinking about that the whole time leading up to this episode. That all you guys were like, not a great season. I'm like, for me, it's been pretty fucking great. Like, but that's because I only watched 3 shows, and it was Edgerunners, Lycoris Recoil, and Prince of Tennis were the 3 big ones. And then I had Pharmacy, which was fine, and then Real Akuma, which was okay at best. But I was like, that's 3 out of 5 that I thoroughly enjoyed the whole time.
2 of your shows are in my top 2, so...
So yeah, for me, this is a banner season.
I think this is the most I've ever dropped in one season, except for that one season where I had to drop literally everything. I think that after that, this is the one where it's like, I think 5 shows didn't survive for me.
Yeah, I see that you have 5. Brand's got 2. Kestrel, you dropped 2.
Yeah,
like it wasn't like a bad season in that there were a lot of bad shows. It's just like pretty much everything was average or below average. Like it was just boring.
It's like a season of mid.
Yeah. Like there was up until Edgerunners, there wasn't really anything. I was like, this is awesome.
Right. And that wasn't until
the very end.
Yeah, exactly.
I had no intention of even watching that show. I just heard that it was like people were talking about it, and I was like, fine, I'll give it a shot. And I'm glad I did.
Mhm.
But why don't we just use it as a segue to bump right into that since
Yeah, we
everybody
might as
watched
well.
it? Because I was having the same feelings as you, DJ. I was like, I played the game and I had fun.
Yeah.
I don't really know if I want to like watch a whole show about it, but it kept popping up in my news feed, and then people at my work were talking about it. They were like, "Oh, it's great, it's fantastic." I'm like, "Well,
I was doubtful that it was like an actual anime. I didn't know that Trigger did it. I just thought it was like, oh, CD Projekt Red made a cartoon and it's like anime style and it's on Netflix. And like those were all like red flags for me.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I don't want anything to do with this. And then people wouldn't stop talking about it. And I was already playing Cyberpunk because I had like recently started replaying the game. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Give it a shot. I'll watch the first episode. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I won't. And then I just didn't stop watching it.
I can see why you'd be hesitant though, because the Witcher anime looked like garbage. So I wouldn't have had much faith
on that one.
Yeah. But I don't know. All you had to do was tell me Hiroyuki Imaishi making a cyberpunk anime, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do it.
Mhm.
man." Luckily, we were on the Windows 7 swing of Studio Trigger shows rather
It's
than
my
the
new
Windows.
favorite Trigger show. Like there's finally one that I'm like, I love this.
Me too. Like Trigger to me was always just the studio that formed from the Gurren Lagann staff, and they had a few things that were okay, pretty much all directed by Imaishi except Little Witch Academia. And now there's one that is actually great and I love.
Yeah. I'm glad that we're in the same boat because anytime like I say that there are a lot of like huge Trigger fans out there that get really offended. Like if you're like, I'm not a fan of Trigger, and they're just like, well, fuck you. But I'm glad that somebody else is in the same boat.
Yeah, like
Some of their stuff. I can't really name a ton of it outside of the big guns, but I mean, I enjoyed Kill la Kill, and I unironically like fucking the cop
Mayor.
one. Yeah, Pro Mayor. No, I
Sexy
that is-
Fireman?
that is good. No, Pro Mayor is like straight up
Promare.
good. No, I was thinking of Inferno Cop. That I unironically, unapologetically like Inferno Cop.
Oh yeah, that shit's great.
Don't you own Ninja Slayer?
I did, but I don't anymore.
I like up until Edgerunners, my favorite Trigger show was the least Trigger show, which was Kisniver.
Kisniver's is
It's a great show, but it's like
good.
not very Trigger.
Oh, and the Little Witch Academia is not very Trigger either, I don't think, and I really like that too.
I feel like it is, but in like a different kind of way.
Yeah. So like
anyway.
right, yeah. Imaishi has a very strong style that all Imaishi stuff feels like, and nothing else, even by Trigger, feels quite like it. So Yoshinari's got his own style, and Little Witch Academia was his baby. So it's still got a lot of the overarching Trigger themes. But yeah, if you think of Trigger as Imaishi stuff, then it's definitely very different.
And that's
Yeah.
how I normally think of it.
Yeah.
So
That's
to me,
how
I
I
was like, oh, this is totally different. Like,
Yeah.
there aren't giant mechs throwing planets at each other, or main characters dying in the middle of the entire show, or anything like that. There wasn't a ton of like big spastic like characters in that classic Trigger where they're just like face to face yelling at each other about shit. But to get back on track on Cyberpunk, I really, really enjoyed it, and I think I wrote in the text chat that this is one of the first things I've ever watched where I like had multiple Leonardo DiCaprio where I was like, I know that guy, I know that thing.
Oh, it's
Adam Smasher.
Yeah, Adam Smasher, the Afterlife bar, I know that.
he showed up. I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting him to be in there.
Character, like stuff like that.
Kestrel, I'm assuming you haven't played the game.
Yeah, no, I know nothing about
Yeah.
this universe at all.
Brand, did you play the game or?
Yeah, I didn't play through the whole story, but I put like, I don't know, 20, 15 hours in.
So you're familiar with the world.
You knew a lot of like the terms and stuff because
Yeah.
I was really curious about how this show feels as someone who has no exposure to the cyberpunk world, because it kind of just like throws you into it, and there are a lot of like terms like gonk and BDs and stuff like that. Like
Tomb.
it feels like the show kind of expects you to know. I didn't know if there was like a barrier to entry, or if you felt like you sort of just understood everything from the get-go, Kestrel, or...
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't know how many of these terms were, supposed to be established by people who had played the game. So when I started, I was like, okay, there's just a bunch of like technobabble and specific terms that they have in this universe for this show or whatever. So yeah, I didn't really get the impression that it was a barrier. I didn't necessarily know what all of it meant immediately, but it didn't really harm my experience.
Yeah.
I feel like it was pretty faithful to it. I mean, even the things you might think are like, that's a very anime way to take this, but it's like, no, hackers laying naked in an icy bathtub is canon to how the games work.
I'm really glad that Edgerunners exists, because Cyberpunk, even if the game was buggy as all hell, and just kind of it made it hard to play at times, there was always this awesome, super dark, grim world in that I feel like was not taken to its full potential. And I feel like Edgerunners, it does that perfectly, where it's like, okay, yeah, this world is actually great, and this is why, and it's just like everything that can happen showcased in the most perfect way they could show it.
I'm sure
Night City is really
like that now.
showcased.
It's like vindicating, because the whole time I'm just like, man, the Cyberpunk world is so good, but nobody really sees it because it's just a mess of a game. And now it's like, okay, we see it now.
I fell through the map, so I can't see it anymore.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure CD Projekt Red is also very happy the anime happened, because I think the game is at its like highest concurrent player count now because of it.
Launch. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Good for them. Yeah, they did not expect Edgerunners to be the success that it is. Nobody expected it. Even Trigger's like, whoa.
I think it's
you have some really strong characters and a really as you put, DJ, a really satisfying environment that they just throw you into right away, both right in your face and just sort of off the cuff comments and things that talk about how shitty this city is. It made watching the show for me 95% sweet and 5% bitter, because I was like, this world could have been in the game, but instead CD Projekt Red decided to dedicate 1 billion hours of development time to these cars that all handle like garbage.
They really do.
Like driving snowplows or some shit.
Shit that doesn't even matter really in the story. Like, I know having different cars to drive is great, but for the most part, you're only driving so you can get to the next spot that you can fast travel to, because driving in the city really isn't that fun because the cars don't handle well, and depending on what system you're playing it on, the streets are going to be mostly empty. The show is so much better at showcasing Night City as just this giant oppressive demon, and in a lot of ways is the antagonist of the show.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the antagonist of the game too. Like, Night City is the big evil, and there are other evils inside of Night City. It's just dystopia. It's another dystopian thing where it's just the world itself is the problem.
Yeah, and the other problem is Night City is in the game there's a couple throwaway remarks from V and stuff about how he went to Atlanta, and it's even worse. So Night City is like the shining gem of that world. And it's shit. And the show is really good at putting you in there, because the first thing you really see is David surrounded by people that the city has just swallowed. Like they're homeless, just drug addled and all this stuff. And clearly the city or anybody involved on a governmental level doesn't give a shit because it's not corpo shit.
I feel like, the beginning of Edgerunners, it shows that really well, and it shows the complete opposite side of that really well as well. Because he's obviously comes from poverty, but he's going to one of the best schools in the area, and everybody has all this fancy shit that he can't afford. And it's being introduced to both sides of that really early on, I think, help paint the picture of what Night City is a lot better, where it's just really imbalanced, and we've got this gifted kid on the shitty side of the scale, and even though he's gifted, it doesn't really work out in the end, and the people with money are always going to be the people who win.
Yeah, he's gifted and he works hard enough to get straight A's in class, so he clearly cares enough to be successful in class. But the whole world has just turned into such like this, capitalist colonization dystopia that even Faraday, the kind of chaotic, neutral, leading towards evil character, even says like to get anywhere in the city, you have to cozy up with the corpse. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It's like if you don't get in with them, you're fucking ground meat.
All about connections. But I'm really glad that they really didn't hold back on any of the grittiness, because I mean, anime is not shy to use hyper violence or like nudity and stuff, but drug use very taboo in Japan, and from most of the shows I've ever seen that even like mention drugs, it's in a very like fantastical way that doesn't feel very realistic. But I mean, from episode 1, they show you that the main character is like drug addicted and also sells drugs. It's like, this is your protagonist, everybody. He is down bad. And
what did you guys think of him as a protagonist? Because I think one of the strongest writing bits was seeing him sort of transform into basically one of the only things he could possibly really transform into, but also the exact opposite of what his mom worked so hard for. And at times it made it really hard for me to like root for him.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as he got swole, I was like, oh, no.
Yeah. As soon as he got swole,
like, this is not gonna end.
He started to really look like a Trigger character.
Yeah, when he branched into real Trigger shit. He got swole, but it clearly isn't natural swole. It's like and I think that was shown really effectively by him being naked all the time. So they just show you like it's clearly mostly chrome, and even though everybody knows what happens when you do it, he still did it anyway, which is what happens over and over and over again in this vicious cycle, because it's clearly like mechanical muscle.
So hard to watch. It's like he's breaking himself, and everybody knows that he's doing it, but he's doing it anyway because he feels like he has to, and I hate that. It's so painful.
Yeah.
I love the characterization in the first episode was very striking for me, because I think it was really unique how they portrayed his anxiety a lot with like POV shots. Like one of the earlier shots when he's talking to his mom in the car, and there's that shot of just from his perspective, he's just like looking down at his leg and it's like shaking up and down. And it's just like a static shot of that animation for like a good like 15, 20 seconds. And it's just like, I was like transported into any other moment in my life where I've been in that situation where I'm like having an awkward conversation and I like don't know how to handle it, so I'm fidgeting and stuff. And I feel like it really portrayed how like you said, like he's carrying on the will of his mom and all these people he meets throughout the show because he's so insecure about himself, and the way he transforms by the end of the show to become like a Kamina type of character is
he's like Main 2.0.
Yeah, exactly.
It really is. He's Main 2.0. Yeah. Main's episode was my favorite episode in the whole series, I think.
That was a good one.
I think I'm about to say something controversial.
Oh shit.
I don't really get why people like Rebecca so much.
I thought that was interesting.
She's small and yells.
That has to be it. That's what I was thinking. I was like, so she's small and yells and the internet loves it, because I'm going to be honest, out of that normal group, I really like Dorio.
Dorio's great. I liked everybody.
Dude, Falco is that dude.
Yo, Falco's who I want to be when I grow up.
That's my homie.
Yeah. I don't think there was a character in that show that I didn't like, but the popularity of Rebecca is interesting.
I'm not surprised, but I'm
not either. It's like you look at her and you're like, oh, okay, you're going to be popular.
Yeah.
Yep. I still like Lucy the most, but I like them all. So my one of the guys in my server, because when you first see Lucy, she's portrayed as this sort of like manic pixie dream girl, where it's like, I want to go to the moon and I'm like gonna whisk you away and take you into a life of craziness.
Oh, I knew that shit was a setup immediately.
And
I was like, David's a mark.
Yeah.
He's a mark-ass mark.
The way the guy from my server described it was that, the series sets up Lucy to be the manic pixie dream girl, but in all actuality, it's kind of like David is her manic pixie dream girl, and the majority of the show is just her breaking and trying to follow him to the moon. And doesn't work. But I thought that was a cool, kind of like an Uno reverse card, where it's like, yo, we think it's her, but it's actually the other way around.
Because, that's a really good point, because throughout most of the show, at least before he gets buff, and even at times when he is buff, he still has that whole, like, I'm doing this for my friends. I just want to be successful. And, his dream is essentially their dreams because he's like a vessel. So in trying to find his purpose, he just keeps taking up the purposes of other people, which can be very attractive because it seems like, endless team player type deal. Which can also be very hard to watch sometimes because it's just like, no, do your own thing, like just figure it out. And unfortunately, he couldn't. Obviously, we've already done some like spoilery stuff, but I just
this is hardcore spoilers, son.
Yeah. Every one of these episodes is always spoilers, but this in particular. But were you expecting him to get his ass handed to him as badly in like that final fight? Because I was kind of surprised. I thought they'd let him do something for a little, but no, he just gets absolutely annihilated.
Like as soon as Adam Smasher shows up, it's like David, he was running low on steam already, and when
he was at his last loop,
like one vial left, and he finds the biggest bad in all of Night City. It's how it's gonna end. And like as soon as he showed up, it's like, oh fuck, I already know it's over. And I'm really happy that they did it that way, because I feel like it showcases how little he is in the grand scheme of things, even though he's been like this huge monstrosity over the last several episodes. But I also hated that they did that because it hurts. And I just the whole show is out to hurt you.
Yeah, it is a very traumatic show, but it kind of has to be. It couldn't really be anything else.
I know, and I think it's perfect for that, but also it just makes me sad. Like, I don't think there's been any other show that has like consistently just made me down pretty much every single episode. Like there's stuff like After Story where it has like really sad moments that like ruin my life. But from episode 1 all the way through episode 10, it's just in Edgerunners, and that is painful. I can't look at the moon anymore. It hurts.
I would agree with you if Made in Abyss was not also part of this season, because that show is just pure depression most episodes.
Still have to watch that.
Yeah, but I think the quality of Edgerunners is almost like a double-edged sword because of all the people that got gaslit into playing the game afterwards are probably going to be sorely disappointed.
Like, have you played the game recently?
I haven't actually.
Okay, it's a lot better now. It's
playable now.
That's good. But still, like the
very glitchy, but it's like a playable game, and it hasn't broken after like 35 hours so far.
Yeah, I think just the exaggeration of anime will kind of like lift expectations a bit, just because like when we were talking about Adam Smasher just like wrecking his shit, like they're doing some crazy shit in this show that obviously doesn't translate to the games as easily, and I don't know, I feel like people might end up being disappointed by like when they have to face Adam Smasher at the end of the game or like whatever else they have to do, but I don't know.
Maybe.
The story and the characters just aren't as good either.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's Edgerunners is very tight, very contained, and you go into Night City as V, and it's just all over the place. Like, it's not linear at all, and I feel like that lack of linearity makes the story hit less hard.
Yeah, I feel like besides John, there really aren't any good characters.
At the same time, there's still like a ton of stuff from the anime that you can like seek out and experience in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's cool. And I know a lot of the people who have jumped in from Edgerunners or like going out on scavenger hunts and like finding all locations from the show in the game. Mm-hmm. It's cool. And like the building David lived in, since Edgerunners takes place the year before 77, so 76 technically. The building that David lived in is like completely quarantined in the game, and you can't even go inside of it. And so it's like shit like that where it's like it's kind of, it might have been planned from the start, but
yeah. So at the trigger panel at AX, it was like mostly an Edgerunners panel. They premiered the first episode a few months ahead of time, and they talked about how like they didn't have the game ready in time because it kept getting delayed. So Imaishi got like a special dev build to work with that they kept updating, and that he made a point of like every shot he made sure that you could like walk through it exactly the same in the actual game.
It's all from the game, and I love that they did that.
Yeah, because like the same rooms in the afterlife where David meets Faraday is where you actually go get some jobs in the game. Like the same exact situation happens with V and everything, just not with Faraday, obviously. But yeah, like the game is enjoyable for sure. I really like how the show incorporated like stuff from the game, not just in the map, but like the way they communicate. Like the little ringtone is the exact same when people call you in the game as the one they call each other in the show and talk. And I like how they use that as substitutes for subtitles sometimes, where they read it off the top left screen, because that's also how it works in the game. So it felt like a really cool little addition in that way, like the way that people show up in the call function, and how when you're talking on the phone in the game, you're not actually talking either. You're doing this weird mind communication bit. But yeah, it's so good. And
the whole soundtrack was like pulled from the game too. Like all the songs that come on are on the radio stations in the Cyberpunk game, and it's really cool to just be driving and like, I really want to stay at your house comes on, and it's just like, I'm gonna pull over and listen to this song now.
Yeah, during some of the scenes when they're like playing like one of the songs from Health, I was like, oh my god, this is everything I ever wanted. But I think just like in general too, this was one of the most clean shows that Imaishi's ever directed. Like just all the effects looked amazing. Like I loved when the characters are going in like cyber psychosis and their eyes are like flickering. All of like the
I thought that was really
transitions. Glitchy transitions were really cool, and I don't know, just like the action was everything I could have asked for. Like from the very first scene with the first shootout, I immediately got Dead Leaves vibes, which is one of my favorite Imaishi shorts, and it just felt like this was his way of, it's like a love letter, but almost just like here's my big budgeted version of that I'm able to do now.
Yeah, I was surprised with how gory it was, to be honest. I didn't think it was going to go that far.
I love it. I think the most impressive thing about Edgerunners, though, is that it doesn't feel like there's like a single minute of wasted content in the show. It's just straight through, and every single moment feels important. And I can't think of something else that has done that. I'm sure it's been done before, but it's just everything's so purposeful. And even though it's only 12 or 10 episodes, I feel like the pacing was flawless. It's straight pain all the way through, and there's never a dead moment.
Even when stuff is going well in the beginning, like you as an audience member don't feel that way. Like I didn't feel that way. Like even when like I was like, oh, he found a group that's good, but it's also a group of criminals. And playing the game, I also know that
his meeting with them is like him almost being killed.
Yeah. And then in playing the game, you know that almost everybody who does the shit that he does like dies, and the whole point of them is to try and die in like the biggest, most like bombastic fashion, so you can get a drink named after you at Afterlife.
Yep. That's what you do.
Yep. So I was like, it was such a bittersweet moment, because I'm like, he found, you know, a pseudo family in a way that he never had. Like these people looking out for him and stuff. And granted, it's under the condition of them doing crimes. But then you know that this is obviously never gonna end well. Like the gravy train is gonna stop, and fucking boy does it.
What a painful show.
What was your we can I want to move on to another show, but I just want to know before we do that, what was each of yours like favorite scene, if you could pick one, like that like kind of impacted you the most, let's say.
Impacted me the most? The very last scene.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, it's, that was the fucking gut punch I didn't need that they just got in there anyway. And also, and major spoiler alert for anyone who planning to watch Edgerunners, the scene where fucking Atom Smasher just crash lands on top of Rebecca really fucking pissed me off too, because it was just so sudden, and there was like no goodbye or anything. It was just done.
Yeah,
over.
they just moved on.
It's
But
another example of how little they are.
Yeah, just dead, like nothing. A fucking ant.
Just like everybody else.
Yep.
Bran, what about you?
I think, yeah, it's easy to say the final scene was like a really amazing way to wrap it up. The main episode, like we said, was also very good. Like his last couple of like moments of clarity with David were really beautiful. And then I honestly really liked the first episode, even though it was like the most depressing one. I just thought the characterization for David, and also just like, yeah, the way they just introduced you to Night City is just so perfectly encapsulates the gritty and destructive nature of that place. So
Yeah, it really sets it up as his back is against the wall from the get-go.
yeah.
Like, his choices are not choices. They're being made for him by the city. Almost like he's not in control of his own destiny. Kestrel, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The last episode was my favorite episode, just over the main episode, because, I think just the ultimate tragedy of it all and how it caps it off are just so impactful. But yeah, I think the whole arc of just how this city destroys people, and every little inch that David does to get ahead is literally killing himself, being a criminal, and best case scenario, living out someone else's dream instead of his own. And it still all ends in horrible tragedy for everyone. And that's just like the encapsulation of what the cyberpunk genre is. So I thought it was a really effective way of portraying all of that.
Percent.
One other thing I really liked in the last episode, not to redact something you had said earlier, Cain, about the like a trigger show, just two characters like yelling at each other. I really loved when it went full trigger mode and David and Atom Smasher are like, both of their faces are just completely taking up the frame, and they're just like talking mad shit.
Yep, as soon as he got in the big cyber suit, the exoskeleton, I'm like, okay, we're in thoroughly trigger territory now. If we weren't before, we are now, because he's just a mech.
He literally just is a mech at the end.
He just is a mech.
How every single thing Imaishi directs, by the end of it, he's just like, but what if it was a mech show instead?
Yeah. I think mine is also from the last episode, but it's not the last scene. I really liked and felt really impacted by the scene where it's David walking through the city, and then he's standing in the middle of the intersection, and the car passes right through him and keeps going. Because to me, I was like, that's his final goodbye to the city. Yeah. In that it's him walking the streets and taking one last look at everything, and then zooming past so quick is like, and now it's gone, and he's gone. That's it. Yeah,
and it's almost like Night City will keep going. Like the game never quits.
Yep. And I was like, that's such an interesting and cool way to show it too, because it's like such a calm moment, and then all this chaos just quickly brushes through, and it's like, yep, and that's it. That's all you get. Like he got a few moments to say goodbye in his head, and then that was it. And now we're back to this just absolutely insane car chase battle scene where his shit is done. Like there's no going back. It's over.
Yeah, I haven't played any of the game, but I think just the fact that this is a prequel and that, you know, none of the main heroes, as far as I know, are of any relevance in the game, it just really speaks to how small they all are, how ineffectual they all are. Like, they can have this huge, 10 episode series where everything seems like the biggest thing in the world, but they all amount to absolutely nothing in this universe.
Yep, they don't. There's nothing about them in the games at all. The only the only person who shows up in the game is Atom Smasher.
Yeah,
yeah, and the I forget her name, but like the Japanese lady that they get jobs from, she just has like she just has like a quick phone call after doing a job with her. I was like, oh, it's a cute little nod.
See Rogue in the first episode at Afterlife 2, and Rebecca like points at her because she's a famous.
Yeah, is that who that was? I kind of thought that's who that was, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's Rogue.
Because I couldn't really remember what Rogue looked like, because by the time you play, she like looks different a little bit. But
yeah, I mean, the characters are naturally going to look different when converted from like Trigger anime to 3D game. So,
well, I meant more like she looks way more like road worn.
Oh yeah, she's like silver hair and everything, and
like she looks like she's been through a lot of shit. And in the Trigger anime, she looks like
she's like 70 years old in the game. So
yeah, but so you see them. Technically, you also see Delamain.
You do see Delamain.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, Delamain. Yeah, you see Delamain for 2 seconds.
You see all of the fixers at one point. They're just like all on a call, and I can't remember which episode it happens, but you see like every single one of them split screened, and it was fun.
Yep. I was honestly really surprised they didn't mention Johnny Silverhand at all. I figured, or unless there was something I missed.
There's no reason to mention Johnny Silverhand in the anime because he dies 50 years prior to that, and he doesn't become relevant again until V installs that biochip that sort of brings his engram back to life. So he's just like the dead terrorist singer of a band at that point in the show.
True. That would have been cool if like there was at least a reference to Samurai or whatever, his band. Like,
yeah, that's what I was looking for. I didn't see anything.
It probably, I mean, even if it didn't make sense like timeline wise, there probably is some kind of like copyright thing with like Keanu Reeves's appearance, maybe like because the character literally looks just like Keanu. So I don't know. Maybe there was some weirdness with that.
It's literally just Keanu Reeves. He loves that character too. He's all about it.
Don't worry, you're getting a Keanu Reeves anime on Netflix soon.
Yes. Are we?
Yep.
What is it? I haven't heard of this.
It's called like Berserker or something without, I don't know. It's like no vowels and some Z's and shit. I don't know. It's
excellent,
like
very anime.
Yeah. It's a comic book that Keanu wrote, where the main character is clearly Keanu Reeves. And he's writing and starring in the anime adaptation that Production IG is doing for Netflix.
What a guy.
Wow.
I'm so happy he exists.
Yeah. I was going to say, to wrap up my feelings on Cyberpunk Edgerunners, you're breathtaking. That's what I'd say about it.
Oof.
That's all I know about Cyberpunk 2077.
It is a fun game to play if a little bit underbaked in terms of the world. At least as they show it to you.
I think it definitely has a lot to offer, but you have to get invested in it if you're going to play it. Like, you can't just breeze by. Like, you have to take note of the world, look for all of the minor details, and like pay attention, because it's really easy to miss most of it with the way that the game presents itself to you.
Indeed. Yeah, let's move on, I think. Because we do have some other...
There are other anime, wait.
Yeah,
what?
there are other anime out there, especially from this season, that are good.
Let's talk about a bad one, though. after talking about a good one for so long.
I mean, sure. I like talking about the bad ones as much as the good ones, because those can be interesting. Is there a bad one you had in mind?
Yeah, let's talk about Devil's Part-Timer.
Yeah, all right, go for it.
Well, I guess I'll just start with what a disappointment that was. I think I dropped it maybe 4 or 5 episodes, just about when they were like going to the beach or something, because I was already like not at all invested in the story they were presenting, and then they were like, let's put it on hold for a little longer and do random like we're not parents but we totally are bullshit, and I was just like, I don't care anymore. But yeah, the show just overall, just the production quality just abysmal compared to the first season, and just I don't know. I just really didn't care about anything that was happening. Like I don't know. The thing about the first season is the like him working at the McDonald's or McDronald's or whatever they call it. Like I enjoyed that stuff and the comedy of it, and like the whole them trying to like live as like barely scraping by. But I don't know, that was just kind of sidelined for, oh no, the Demon King still has enemies and they're coming for him. And I don't know, it's just I guess not what I enjoyed about the first season. So yeah, it was boring and I dropped it. So
yeah, I agree. It was another one where like, 10 years ago, I think I was more in a mood for this show anyway. And I think you mentioned the last time we talked about it, it was a much fresher concept at the time. There wasn't anything quite like it back then. There have been quite a few since then. So it was, it was a nice little novelty. It was fun. It was funny. It looked pretty good. It was White Fox, had pretty good staff behind it. And yeah, it had a good joke to tell. It told that joke pretty well. It had a little bit of plot mixed in there. Maybe we never needed more. And yeah, now production quality was way down. And yeah, it was very boring. Somehow like the actual plot points of it were more boring than the slice of life stuff from the first season. Yeah. And then the slice of life stuff from this season that interrupted those plot points was way more boring. It's just like a baby appears, let's be parents to a baby, let's go to a theme park, and let's go to a beach, and I just could not give a shit.
Nope. Sorry, Kate.
I mean, Kate's not even caught up, so I feel like
that's fair.
Yeah, if she hasn't even been able to keep up with it, then it's not that amazing. For one show.
Yeah. Well, if this and like, I don't know, I feel like now people have to be on life alert if they're thinking like something like No Life season 2 is gonna eventually show up and be good. So I don't know.
10 years from now, it'll happen. Mark my words.
I mean, it's already been 8.5 years since No Game, No Life season 1.
Wow. That's the perfect timing for us to mention it on this podcast and it to get announced right after.
100%.
That has happened several times.
Look forward to our news segment next episode where we talk about No Game, No Life season 2.
Yeah. Oh man, if only. But yeah, that's about all I really needed to say about it. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Is that I don't know. I'm assuming this is based off of probably like a light novel series or something, visual novel. I don't really know.
Light novel, yeah.
Is that due to the weakness of the light novel series after what the anime initially covered? Or is this more just they wasted the potential of the source material?
Probably some of both. I haven't read it to be sure. Kate would probably be better equipped to answer that. But I think it clearly has weaker material and isn't as fresh as it once was, but also the production quality and just the writing and direction of the adaptation, I think, are a step below what it was in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
So just an unfortunate blend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
Well, at least it wasn't as bad as apparently Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer.
Oh no,
nothing's as bad as that.
Was it really all that bad? Like, let's just cover 2 bad shows at once.
Yeah,
there's not a whole lot to say about them.
I mean, did anyone else watch any of that? Because I only watched one episode and I already talked about it the last time we talked about the season.
No, I just saw people laughing at it on Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just like as incompetent as you could possibly imagine. Like, it seemed like they were trying to produce each episode the day it was supposed to air. It was really painful to watch. Yeah. Nothing moved. It seemed like there was no director. Like, it was as uninspired of just let's shit this out onto the screen as possible. The music was bad, the voice acting was bad. I mean, there were good people involved, but like just everything that went into it just ended up being a disaster somehow.
Ouch.
Yikes.
Well, at least that part of the conversation only took 30 seconds.
Only about 1/30th of the Cyberpunk conversation, which is
Yep. So that's one good thing to say about the show. But why don't we just jump back into something that's good and maybe something that's not as depressing? Because I was going to say Made in Abyss, but then that's just one good depressing show bookending another good depressing show and then bad shows in between. So why don't we jump to something that's a little more optimistic, I guess you could say, and why don't we talk a little bit about Lycoris Recoil?
Yeah, I want to hear about this because I, for some reason, didn't end up picking it up, and it seemed to be the talk of the season.
Shit's good, bro.
Yeah, it's a good show. It's like it starts off good, it ends good. It's a good show.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where I can't really pick out any one particular thing it does like insanely well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it hasn't. What would that be?
I think that the dynamic between Chisato and Takina is one of my favorites in recent years, and that they just work extraordinarily well with one another. And it's like, I have a hard time describing how I feel about it because it feels like, yeah, they're close friends, but it's like, I don't know. They just don't act like normal people. And it's really entertaining to watch in the fact that I never really know what they're going to do because they're quirky and unpredictable in a less quirky and unpredictable way than is normally quirky and unpredictable. Again,
it isn't cloying.
Describe it. They just act different. I haven't seen characters act like that before. It's really, I don't know, kind of like Kyo Annie-ish, but not, where it's very exaggerated and over the top, but also subtle at the same time. Does that make sense?
Well, there's subtleties hidden within the over the top expressions of emotion. It isn't an empty gesture that's just there to show how, bouncy and fun a character is. There's always like a little bit of, something under the covers in a way, especially as you go throughout the series and kind of learn Chisato's background and how she somehow manages to stay so optimistic despite the fact that her life has kind of been bad.
I don't even know if that's what I'm talking about. It's like, I don't know. They're so goofy and it's just fun goofy. That's like cute, but not just cute makes it good. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree, because that's kind of how I felt about it. What's a Twitter thread? Yeah. Yeah, I've kind of felt this way since the beginning, where on the surface, it looks like one of these potentially superficial, quote, moe shows, where it's all about the girls being cute and kind of gay and, really easy to love in these tropey ways that you want to buy figures of. And all of those things are true. And it's very good at that. And it's very good at selling figures and selling these characters as waifus. But I think, I agree with Cain that under all of that, there's really genuine, subtle, quality character writing that Chisato is a legitimately well-written character, and Takina is in a completely different way, that they both feel real and their interactions feel genuine, even though there's all this fun, quirky anime humor layered on top that gets you in the door. And then, you stay for the good character writing, the compelling plot. And so it gets to be, you get to have your cake and eat it. You get to have your silly, cute anime girls that fulfill all of those little check boxes, but then you get something deeper if you're looking for that as well.
I think calling their interactions like real, I think that's what I was missing, because I think that is kind of what I'm going for, where it's super quirky and over the top, but they also feel like people that could exist. And that they feel like actual friends communicating like actual friends would, rather than just two anime girls who were thrown into a show to be cute. So, I understand. I was just bad at explaining myself, and I've been struggling trying to put that into words for 12 weeks now, because I've felt that way since the start. It's just like, how do I describe it?
Right. Yeah, they have, exaggerated anime personas, but then the way that those interact with each other, it feels like real friends that you've met in real life, and real people that you can imagine existing.
Well, what helps really prop that up, and I'm so glad they did this, because I remember we talked about a little bit at the mid-season episode, is they told a story in the show that has enough serious elements to make you care about the characters outside of just they're cute and do cute things. Like, there was a plot, and it did have serious notes, and there were some times where I didn't really know who was going to survive and who wasn't, because the show keeps you on your toes kind of enough that it wasn't going to be like an Edgerunners where everybody was going to die. But I could have just as easily seen the show ending with Chisato like not making it, and then Takina kind of living her life trying to be inspired by what she learned from Chisato, and that would still be a good ending for me. So I was like, I don't know how this is really going to go, because they actually decided to tell a story that has some sort of, more mature themes, and not just cute girls shoot guns and then run a cafe on the side. And I know that we had talked about that a little bit, because I was watching the show, and I had mentioned how I was just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, I was like, something's going to happen that's going to make this show kind of fucked up. And we weren't like in 100% agreement on if that was going to happen or not. But I'm really glad that they did, because I feel like that absolutely bolsters their relationship in that way, because it feels like their relationship and their interactions are genuine, because the story and world they live in also feels genuine, and not just anime set piece 1 followed by anime set piece 2 so that you buy shit. Which is nice. It was a really good, like, surprising show that I really like looked forward to seeing, and I'm glad it ended up the way that it did.
Trying to
you go.
Trying to balance the tone of it and the main characters with the pretty dark, serious plot that it set up. I think we were all a little nervous about how it would pull that off and how it would end, and if it would be kind of a cop-out. So I was fairly impressed. Like, you can only do so much and still have it, feel tonally consistent and have an ending. So I think, given the corner they kind of wrote themselves into, they pulled it off pretty well.
Plus, I think it had a surprisingly like well-rounded antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
He grew on me a lot.
Yeah, he really did, because he has a lot of good points.
He seems comically bad and just like, I'm here to blow stuff up, but then like he's not, and I'm like, okay, cool, you're cool.
Yeah, like he is, but he isn't.
Yeah, he is just like the opposite side of the coin from Chisato, which is not what I would have expected after his first showing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, he definitely, when he first showed up, seemed like, oh, this is the borderline psycho anime villain that's just going to spend all his time on screen being like sadistic.
Yeah, and he's actually not that bad of a guy. Yeah. Still bad, but not still like bad. The worst.
Yeah, still bad, but he also likes the same action movies as Chisato, so that's fun.
He has ideals. Like, he doesn't see himself as the bad guy.
Yeah,
it's one of those.
He explicitly says.
Yeah, he literally says that.
Yeah, And you can actually agree with him on some of the points because I remember one of the things we talked about in the beginning of the show is how it's a perfect, like, quote unquote world, but it's still like a dystopia of its own because it's run by a secret government funded police force.
Exactly.
So
like, he's kind of right.
Yeah, exactly.
So Majima's got some good fucking points.
Yeah, no, I was very surprised by his evolution over the course of the series because, yeah, when he first appears, he's just like crazy anime villain. Doesn't seem like he has any depth to him at all. And then in the finale, when he's, making his points, which is, a very anime villain thing to do, where he's like, I don't see myself as the villain. Here's my manifesto on why I'm right and the world is wrong.
Here's my senior thesis.
Right. Yeah, but he's right. This world is wrong. It's fucked up.
Man, when those fireworks went off, I let out an audible sigh. Like, damn, because like, kind of knew it was gonna be something like that, but then it was, and I was like, fuck. Like,
that whole last battle was badass.
It was great, which made the fireworks fucking sad.
Like, I liked how Chisato tried to exploit Majima's hearing by just firing a gun right in his ear. Like,
yeah, that was cool.
Really, really getting creative and trying to defeat him in strategic rather than just like, I'm just gonna punch you and then you'll punch me and then I'll punch you. Like, it felt like a well planned like fight scene. The
way she fights is like dancing. It's wild.
Yeah. And then when they're running along the glass dome in the end, I was like, this shit is like I'm fucking watching Lethal Weapon with teenage girls. So it was really cool. It top to bottom, just a really enjoyable show. And correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't this like an original property?
Yep.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Always nice to see.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For an original property, obviously an original ending, I feel like the ending extended a little further into epilogue territory that I feel like was necessary. Where it's like, I liked the idea of, and again, spoilers for fucking Lycoris Recoil, I like the idea of Takina going and finding Chisato, and I thought the way that her running away was justified was okay. But I don't think we needed like 3 minutes of them running a stall on the beach. Like, I didn't really think, like, what did that accomplish?
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
One last fan service shot.
Yeah, that's really what it was. It's just like, we got to show Chisato in a bikini.
Yeah, it was a vehicle to show Chisato in a bikini so that they could deliver what everybody really wanted the whole time.
Yep.
But I agree with you as well. Yeah, I was like, I don't need any of this. Like, it could have ended with
like,
her finding her.
Just have them reunite. That's all I need.
Yeah, and then just cut to credits or fucking right there.
My last thought on it is the reason that this show is the anti-cyberpunk, not only because they don't all die, but Chisato gets to keep her ideals and isn't broken, which is the opposite of everything that happens in Cyberpunk. Also,
I don't think anybody had blue nipples in this show. And that's a key difference.
We don't know that for sure.
Right.
You know what? That's true. Confirmed. That's true. I'm wrong. I walk back that statement.
Not knowing is part of the magic of it, you know?
I recant everything I just said.
Shout out to Mika for fucking being a badass. I just want to drop that in there really quick.
All right, well, let's shift to the next one. I have like two left to talk about. One of them obviously is very exclusive to me, and the other one I think only Kestrel watched. So why don't we cut into something? Let's see. What is a show that you three have in common, or at least two of you? I'm trying to look through the list right now because I see.
We could talk about.
All watched.
Call the Night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the new sexy vampire show.
New sexy vampire. Fooly Cooly too.
Basically.
I like this show a lot. I'm not fully caught up. I am on episode 10, I believe. I don't know if it's over yet.
Today. It dropped today, I think.
Did it? Okay.
Which means I also have not watched it.
Yeah, so
I watched it like an hour before we started recording, so it was good timing.
Don't like super spoil the ending for me.
No,
but I like it a lot so far. After the first episode, I wasn't really sure how I felt about it because it is very stylized, and I guess the aesthetic didn't hit right away, where I just thought it looked weird, and I still think they all have really weird shaped boobs. But I have grown to enjoy the way the show looks, and I feel like the soundtrack just adds to that aesthetic, and it's a very immersive experience with characters that I enjoy, and they are characters who feel real. Those are all things that I like. So it's just a really well-rounded vampire romance, and that's cool. Bring it on. Bring on more human x paranormal creature aesthetic shows, because I will gobble them up.
Literally all this guy directs.
Yeah.
He's got a style.
Yep.
I personally was a pretty big fan from the style right out the get-go, just because I'd watched one of the previous shows that adapted his Dagashi Kashi manga, and that show was all right. And the designs are definitely a little weird, but I was kind of into them. I was like, okay, they're different, you know, they're a little more blocky and like bold lines and stuff. But this felt like a step above that for sure. And where Dagashi Kashi was like just bare bones, like in the country scenery, the stark difference of the glow of the nighttime in this show, and the color design and just everything about it was just so comforting and mystical. And yeah, it was just like such a good atmosphere. And like you said, paired with the music, just like such a good vibe every time I watched it.
Yeah, this show like transports you.
Right. I agree completely that everything I love about the show is in the atmosphere, how it portrays the city at night. It's just such a unique aesthetic and feeling that it just captures so perfectly. And yeah, it doesn't feel like anything else. Like it feels like a different world. Like, of course, there are vampires here because it's a city at night. It's like just a different universe. And when they like, you know, fly up into the sky and you see just an amazing shot of the starscape and the city below it. And yeah, all the music by what is it, Creepy Nuts, and just the beats throughout just add to that so well.
I love how integrated they were in like the show, in not only making both the theme songs and like the insert songs, but the two guys from the band are in an episode, and I thought that was a cute reference.
Nice.
But speaking on what DJ mentioned about like the characters feeling more realistic, that was one of my favorite aspects, is that like the main character Ko is kind of a breath of fresh air in terms of like a romance protagonist, because usually when the main character is like too dense to realize he's in love or something, it's just a matter of him just being like, his brain is a stack of bricks and there's nothing in there. But it was refreshing that he felt more like he was in this awkward teenage phase where he doesn't really understand what love really is. And you can tell that's a symptom of like his home life and his school life, and just like his lack of interaction with people. And I thought it was really interesting the way he tried to dissect what it meant to fall in love, and the way that all the characters he interacted with throughout had different perspectives that kind of culminated at the end with him becoming more confident in himself and his own way of life, and, you know, not being able to fall in love, not necessarily being an issue. And yeah, I thought that was a really, really cool development for the writing.
Yeah, I agree with like the Fooly Cooly comparisons.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's, I like when the world expands a little bit and you meet other characters outside of the two of them, and you realize that even though Nazuna is like this, you know, to reuse this term again, manic pixie dream girl from his perspective, once you get a sense of her society and his society, you realize that they're both like total outcasts and they're perfect for each other. And she's weird and kind of creepy for like, you know, having this romance with this kid. But yeah, she's also kind of like the Haruko figure, where she doesn't see him in the same light that he sees her. So yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, and I think it grows more the more you meet characters, which is a very slow burn because, at first those two are the only ones that exist, and very gradually you start to meet more and more characters and get a sense of just how much they don't belong in their circles. And then gradually, like, you see how Ko can, find good friends who can accept him for his weirdness because they're all weird too. And like the cool popular kid is super insecure and sees him as, a hero in some ways, which is a kind of theme that you see in stuff like Fruits Basket, where, people only see the lowest parts of themselves, but from everyone else's perspective, it's a completely different character.
I was actually about to just draw a Fruits Basket comparison, not in that, but in the fact that to a much lesser extent in Call of the Night, it's another series where everybody feels like they're not just tossed in, and they all have these intricate, but again, less intricate in this case, backstories that make them feel like real people, which is what Fruits Basket did better than anything, I think.
No spoilers on the last episode, but I think both of you will really enjoy the final episode because they do a really good job of bringing it full circle and like mirroring in some ways the first episode, but from different perspectives. And I think it's a really good way of just culminating what Nazuna and Ko's relationship has become. And it was a very satisfying ending. I think you guys are going to like it.
That's good.
We good to go there?
I think so.
Cool beans.
Can't stop humming the theme songs. I'll say that much more about it.
They are really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on. I think. Why don't we just go right into Main Abyss then? We've covered enough shows that seem happy.
We've had our fun now.
We've had our fun. Now let's get back into the nitty gritty shit.
Yeah. The Mitty gritty
Ooh.
shit.
All right. Episode title, Kennedy.
Yeah. Down to the nitty gritty, Sosu. Yeah, the show is fucked up. Like, literally not even 10 seconds in, it just starts with like some very obscenely dark shit, and you're just like, all right, shit, here we go again. And but like that's like the only thing I can really say about the show. That it's not even that I dislike it, it's just uncomfortable, but just like the atmosphere and the world building of it all is just so enticing and beautiful and whimsical. And it's like, yeah, everyone's suffering, but you want to see what's at the end of their suffering, like what do they feel at the very end of this deep, dark journey? And like, is there a light at the end for any of it? And yeah, the season did a really great job, I think, of showing because like as they proceed down each layer, it's more and more messed up. And I feel like the Golden City arc really captured a like a darkness, like a light, like a small light within this giant pit of darkness. And it was very captivating. And I really enjoyed all the new characters it added and the backstory it gave them all that circled around very well to the current plot line.
Yeah. Man, the season sure was fucked up in every way. Like,
Dude, like, oh.
Yeah, it's weird. It's uncomfortable to watch. But yeah, when it gets down to it and wants to really tell its story and really make you feel, God, there's nothing quite like it. It's, yeah, incredible writing from the source material. I had, already read all of the manga for what this season covered. So I was really excited to see it adapted. And yeah, just his world building and his artwork. Obviously, you can't get the same level of like detail and shading that he does. But it's much brighter in the anime. They have a very strong aesthetic that they adapted into. And yeah, just Kojima's direction for like really making those poignant moments hit. And then Kevin Penkin's score just elevate it to new levels that it's just when it hits, it is some of the best shit you can see. It's incredible.
Friendship ended with Sawano. Kevin Penkin's my new best friend. Like, for real, this soundtrack is anytime like an angelic voice just whispers into the atmosphere while there's dialogue going on. I'm just like, oh God, I have to like lean back in my chair. It's insane.
Yep.
Oh. From what because you said you basically caught up on the manga. From what I heard, there's not much material written post this arc. So from what I know, there probably won't be another season or movie for quite a while.
Yeah, I don't know how far behind Seven Seas American physical volumes are, because that's all I've read. But yeah, it's pretty much just this arc. So yeah, I'm curious how long it'll take to get another one, because we got the first 3 volumes adapted in 13 episodes, and then we got the next 2 adapted in a movie 3 years later, and now we got the next. I don't know. It felt like they were burning through this arc pretty quickly. The next like maybe 3, 4, maybe even 5 volumes in these 12 or 13 episodes. So yeah, I think we're probably in for at least a few years of waiting at this point.
For anyone who hasn't watched it yet, it's important to note that the third movie, the first 2 are like a compilation of the first season, but the third movie is necessary viewing before this newest season. So,
yeah. And they didn't do the Demon Slayer thing where they went back and turned it into a season either. So you 100% have to watch that movie as a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, great series. Don't watch in mixed company.
Yeah, unless like you and your friends are really into like scat and gore, maybe have a good time. But
yep, it's gross. That is a word that I can use for the show. It is a gross show.
Yeah.
There's poop.
There's everything gross.
There's poop.
I want it to hurt me, and it sounds like it can.
Oh, it can.
Which always boggles my mind because it doesn't look like it should.
Yeah, no.
I think that's why it hurts the most.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Madoka thing where like you have very cute characters in a dark setting. It's like Rico is like as bright and happy as she looks. She's like if you dropped Chisato in Night City.
Yeah.
Like the world around her is the most horrible thing, and she's just bright and cheery the entire time.
Imagine.
I mean, it's basically like Higurashi. There's like some slice of life, beautiful moments in the abyss, and then there's some heart-wrenching death and misery. It's all things in balance.
Just how Majima wants them.
What do you say, DJ?
I said Chisato kind of has a Sandevistan like built in already.
He does, yeah. That's very true. Now we're blending all the shows together. We will make the ultimate anime.
Right.
Yeah, if you guys are good, we can then move on as well. I agree with DJ. Isn't there the show that I keep wanting to watch and all the stuff that's involved with it? It just slips my mind, especially because I try to watch new stuff every season. And since I already don't watch a whole lot, I don't really get that whole like, oh, this is a season where I can just catch up, because instead of watching 15 shows, I'm only watching 12. It's like every season pretty much has 2 or 3 shows worth watching.
Yeah. It doesn't help that I feel like the streaming rights for Made in Abyss kind of bounced around a lot.
Yeah.
Because I think the first season was on Prime Video, and then the movies...
When they were doing their anime strike thing where you had to do 2 paywalls.
Oh my God.
$5 a month extra.
Anime strike or whatever they called it. Oh, it's so dumb. And then I think the movies are on Crunchyroll, and then the new season's on High Dive.
No, it's all on High Dive. Nothing was ever on Crunchyroll, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But you're right. It started on Anime Strike when that was a thing, and then Sentai got the rights, and then you need to watch the movie, which movies don't come to streaming as quickly, so you had to wait a while for it to finally show up on High Dive. And now it's all just on High Dive.
It's definitely the series that I have gotten you should watch this recommendations on the most out of anything. So
It's a very DJ show.
yeah. So I hear. Maybe I'll start it tonight.
Ooh.
Ooh. Look at this guy making promises he knows he can't keep.
That's true.
Yeah, I've heard you say this for the past 5 years.
That's true. I finally watched Eurocamp after repeating that same process after a long time, and it's one of my favorite shows now. So,
Ooh.
Just as we said.
I think that's going to be a winter watch for me. I still haven't watched it.
Oh,
the
it's
movie
so
came
good.
out last month, I believe, but we can't watch it yet.
Oh.
They're old in the movie.
Huh?
Yeah, it's a sequel where they go camping as adults.
Well,
They
Eurocamp after story.
Yeah.
Oh no!
No! Don't curse it.
Oh no.
They finally dubbed that show a month or two ago.
I know, and one of my friends is in it, and I'm so happy for her.
Nice.
As soon as that announced, I immediately texted her. I like freaked out.
Yeah, hopefully we finally get Blu-rays of that.
That would be dope.
I believe we will.
Yeah.
We've talked about a few shows in a row that Cain hasn't watched. So, Cain, do you want to talk about the one show that you watch that none of us do?
I was going to anyway, so you read my mind. I won't talk about it for very long because I know it doesn't really interest you, but the new Prince of Tennis, of course, came out this season, the U17 World Cup. To mixed reviews, and I understand why. It doesn't take watching the show to know that there's an enormous cast of characters. Just like Google the show, and you'll see an image that has like 60 pretty 47-year-olds on it. And the new season didn't really focus on Ryoma Echizen, the main character, at all, except for him being like having a weird existential crisis. Which I guess, considering his age, he's 13 in show years, but he should be in his mid-20s by now, so an existential crisis makes sense. But the show was good. Like, there's a lot of tennis. It's basically nothing but tennis, because they just show up to the world tournament and they play tennis on horses. They play tennis with someone who has the powers of paralyzing you, because he hits the ball in such a way that it fucks with your ears and then allows you not to move.
Whoa.
There's a guy who plays tennis by shifting his body so quickly that he appears to be in 10 different places at once.
Nice.
There's like, this whole show is just completely jumped entirely off the map, like over the shark, over the entire ocean that the shark was in.
Over the Florida streets that the sharks are roaming.
Yep, pretty much. But I love every minute of it just because it's... And personally, I enjoyed the fact that they spent the first season basically just showing how all of the other characters around Ryoma have grown, because I think it's a legitimate criticism of Prince of Tennis and really most sports like anime that the main characters have like super thick plot armor all the time. Like, there are a couple that hasn't been the case. Like Haikyuu is a decent one where they lose sometimes. But Prince of Tennis in particular is Ryoma never loses if the match actually means something. He can't lose. So it does make watching his matches boring. But I can see why some people wouldn't like that, because you actually only see Ryoma start a match of tennis that makes any point into the plot on the 11th episode. Everything up to that point is him wondering why he moved to the USA, why'd he join Team USA, Japan dealing with that, then him like going back to the Japan team after realizing he doesn't want to be on the United States team, and all this other stuff going on. And meanwhile, everyone else is playing tennis again, like their asses beat, like multiple hospital trips. Because some of the tennis is so violent that people are getting injured and they go into like a fucking coma. Yeah, this shit's like insane. Like if you watched or knew of like Birdie Wing or Tribe 9, which are two shows I watched, Prince of Tennis is like an OG of all that garbage. So it's, yeah, I really like it. I'm having a lot of fun. I mentioned in last episode, it does this really interesting thing where instead of reanimating flashbacks, they just show the original footage in the flashback.
Ugh.
Yeah, like the original animes in the flashback. So it's kind of interesting from a standpoint of like seeing how the characters have changed with the new artwork, because the new artwork is nicer, yes, but there also are some like legitimate sort of character designs where a lot of the characters have been softened. And by softened, I don't mean like they look punchier. If anything, all their angles are sharper and their chins are sharper and their noses could probably cut glass. But like all the characters have been kind of like smoothed out in that modern style.
Mhm.
So everybody kind of looks sort of the same, which is a little disappointing. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. It's fun. I was basically gonna like it no matter what it did, because that's just how in the tank I am for that show at this point. But it's good. It's obviously not a place you can just jump in. You would be absolutely fucked if you tried watching it from here, because they don't give you any exposition. It's just like, we're in Australia playing tennis. Here's every single character that's ever appeared in the show.
Well, I'm glad I can just live
Challenge
vicariously
accepted.
through you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think hearing Cain talk about this show is much more enjoyable than I would ever find watching the show myself.
Yeah, I fucking love it so much. Like there was a tennis match where there's a guy whose name is legitimately Prince. And he's French, of course. And his specialty in tennis is because he played tennis on a horse for so long that he developed the core strength to hit the ball hard from any angle, because he has to learn to get big muscles because he lives on a horse. And then the
Sorry,
Greek,
what?
yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. There's the thing I was telling you guys about before we started recording about the match between the two data players, that they spend the whole time collecting data on each other, but then it turns into a gambling match of whose data is correct versus the other person's data on who the data is and what the data does, and it's just so fucking stupid. I can't handle it. But part of me, I love that whole thing, because this was the main criticism that I think I had of Birdie Wing and some other shows, where they lean into it, but they want you to believe that the world around it is still like believable.
Mhm.
And Prince of Tennis does no such thing. They lean into this, and then the whole world is just like, yeah, this is normal. All this shit. Yeah, this is fine. Like, this is how tennis works. Nobody tries to make sense of it. They all just go with the flow. And sometimes Birdie Wing was trying to be like too grounded with the whole like mafia thing. And Tribe 9 is like, I don't know. It did it sort of, but not at the same time. But Prince of Tennis is the OG for me, and always will be. So, yeah, it was fucking fantastic. Oh, the whole Greek team is voiced by one person. I don't know why they did that, but the whole Greek team is voiced by the same voice actor, just changing his voice a couple times.
Is it like a Greek guy? Does he speak Greek?
No, they all speak Japanese.
Just one guy.
It's budget problems.
Yeah, the only time you hear anyone speaking in another language is occasionally English.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Everything else is like, the most German you get is there's like a German guy named Volk. So that's kind of whatever. But one of the tennis guys, he gets roundhouse kicked off a bridge. That happens at one point off the tennis court, and nothing happens because of it. He just gets a roundhouse kicked off a bridge. So I don't know how he didn't die, but yeah, we can move on. I'm just glad there's more tennis. I don't know if it's supposed to run into the next season or not, or if it's going to stop here and then there's going to be a gap. I feel like it feels like it should keep going, because the match isn't over. That's being played. Like, it's not decided yet. And I feel like that'd be a really weird spot to end and then have you wait on, is like in the middle of a match. But since I never watched Prince of Tennis when it was actively airing, I don't really know how they did that between seasons when it was first coming out. Like, I don't really know where they ended things between those cores and stuff.
Yeah, looks like it just ended, yesterday, and does not have any more planned.
Yeah, what is it, 12 episodes?
13.
13. Okay, so there's one that I didn't watch, which probably finishes Ryoma's match. But even if Ryoma wins, which he will, it does not decide the outcome of the whole team's match, because it's only the third total, and I think there's 5 to play, and they lost one and won one. So that's weird, because then you just have to wait until they decide, because Ryoma's obviously going to win the match, so who gives a shit about that? But yeah, so we'll see. But
every team needs a jobber to make the protagonist's match mean something.
All of Japan is a jobber for Ryoma. He's crushed everybody except for one person, which is why he defected to the United States team. Because the only time Ryoma loses is when it is for the sake of his own plot. But yeah, so we can move on now, because I actually wanted, the only other show that I watched is Kestrel. You watched it too. It's the pharmacy one.
Yep.
Which I agree, it is fine. I think there's a lot of wasted potential.
Yeah,
personally.
100%. Yeah.
Yep. Like the only thing I can really say about it, I don't really know if you have anything in particular, is I really did not like how they handled the church coming after him.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was going to be a big fucking deal, and it takes 5 minutes. Like, they could have made a meal out of that shit. Of course, for the listeners, we're talking about Parallel World Pharmacy and not Prince of Tennis anymore. Just to be clear. Because
I wouldn't have known.
Yeah. I could have kept going, and it probably would have bled into it. But yeah, that was my whole thing watching the show the whole time. Cast was just like, this thing could have been cooler.
Yeah.
And the church coming after him because they thought he was like a demon while he's trying to heal people. I'm like, they could have made a meal out of it. They could have like did this whole arc where he has to like do underground medicine while the church is coming after him, and like it gets kind of dark because they could like torture the people that he knows, because, you know, inquisitors will do that. But instead, they fight in an open field for 2 minutes, and then they just go, oh, you're not a demon, you must be a god then. You're cool now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he wins everyone over way too easily. Like, there could be so much moral and ethical conflicts with him showing up into this world, but instead, you just get a really boring villain to spend the last, 3 to 6 episodes on.
Yep. Generic villain number 1.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. He and we talked about it a little bit when it came out. We were like, I was hoping that they would have some of that moral weirdness because he knows all of this medicine, and I'm like, you could be easily burned at the stake for that. And they hinted at it. They definitely hinted at it, and they had the Inquisitors come after him, and then that whole thing takes 4 minutes, and then they give him the most powerful wand on the planet.
Yeah, it definitely teased something that it did not commit to in terms of that actually being an issue, instead of just being your generic isekai, everyone accepts and loves you as the savior. Yeah,
agreed. There's not a single moment of strife for him that isn't resolved, not only by the end of the episode, but by the end of the scene.
Yeah. Yeah, the most he has to deal with is, oh, poor people don't like me.
Pretty much. And even that changes.
Yeah.
Even that changes, but at least that kind of would be a little bit more of an interesting thing. Like, it felt like, I don't know, maybe they should have just picked the business sim line and stuck with it. Mm-hmm. And then had him more struggle in trying to establish this pharmacy and get a market share, and then deal with the guild and all that shit. And, maybe, I don't know. It just felt like, there could have been a lot more moral and ethical strife that he has to deal with. But everyone just loves him almost immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of all of those interesting concepts, it turns into isekai alchemy magic battles with generic one-note plague villain. Yeah.
And it's doubly disappointing because you can tell that they did a lot of research into the actual medical terminology. Mm-hmm. They put so much effort into the medical and pharmaceutical terminology. I'm looking it up after the episodes, and this was mentioned the last time we talked about it as mid-season, where it's the mangaka, at least, or the light novelist, I don't know what the source material is. I remember reading actively worked with pharmaceutical people and reps and doctors to make sure that what he was putting in the story was correct. And that's a lot of effort just to have a generic isekai at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah, it's like the attention to detail of Dr. Stone, except in Dr. Stone, all of those things matter, and that's the whole point of the show. In this, it's just kind of window dressing at the end of the day.
Sort of, yeah, like a lot of this stuff is just like, oh, this person has like ataraxia. Neat. Here's a candy. So it does kind of feel more like, look how smart we are with all this terminology and sort of, window dressing, but it's still a lot of work at the end of the day for something that turned out so generic.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, just wasted potential entirely, but it is what it is. There was like some interesting stuff in there, but yeah, just buried. So I don't really have a whole lot more to say about that. So we can move on if you're good.
Yep. I didn't feel like I should have dropped it while watching it, but in retrospect, I probably should have.
Yeah, I went through that as well.
Yep.
I hit a wall at 8 episodes, and I'm like, sunk cost fallacy.
Right.
Hey, Bran.
Hey, yeah.
How's Kakegurui?
I was kind of disappointed. So this is like Kakegurui Twin is like a spin-off of the mainline series, and it's about the one of the side characters, Mary, the blonde girl that's pretty prominently in the main series, but it's basically a prequel to the main series about her like first coming to the school and taking on the student council and like the underground student council kind of people, or like the anti-student council group. And I don't know, it just didn't catch me the same way that the original series did. Mainly because, I don't know, when I first watched Kakegurui, it was one of those things where I enjoyed it because of how silly it was. It's just like, all right, the main character gets really horny when she's in a very like tough gamble, and she pulls it out every time, and people make gross, intimidating faces at each other, and then I don't know, it just didn't hit the same level of satisfaction. I think part of it is that the gambles themselves aren't as fun, and I feel like that's just a problem of once you do it long enough, you have to come up with enough cool and interesting, unique gambles that are like such mind fucks that like the way that they have to outsmart each other needs to be something like insanely calculated. But I don't know, it just didn't translate. Like it didn't feel satisfactory when they pulled the I was doing this the whole time, or like you didn't realize I was cheating this way. And yeah, I don't know, it's a mix of the gambles not feeling thought out enough, and also the payoff of how they ended up winning didn't feel like enough of a reward. So yeah, overall I was kind of disappointed in it. The cast in it too, just not as entertaining as the main like student council members and stuff, and no Jabami Yumeko, so that's a big downgrade in my book. But yeah, the soundtrack's still pretty good. I really like the opening and ending themes. The opening's just like an instrumental like jazz track, which is very moody and fits the show well. And then the ED is like very colorful character animations of the main girls singing the ED, and very bubbly and fun. But yeah, overall I really wasn't too invested. It's only like 5 or 6 episodes, so I like binged through it in like 1 or 2 days. So yeah, I don't know. Pretty disappointed in it, unfortunately, because I really like the mainline series. So yeah.
Yeah, as do I, which is why I wanted to ask you about it, because I also enjoyed the main series Kakegurui, and then what was it, XX?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like those two. I like the gambling aspect, and of course, psycho anime eyes.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like there wasn't enough of the like crazy bitch face insanity. And I also think part of that is because like Mary Saotome is not as an effective lead character. And it felt like every gamble played out the same, where like she gets defeated and outsmarted, and then she's like, okay, round 2, double or nothing, and then she'll win the second round. And I think that happened in every gamble that happened that season. So it was just way more predictable and like, I don't know. Yeah. Just not as fun as the mainline series. So unfortunate, because I was looking forward to it.
Indeed. Well, at least you were the sacrificial lamb, so I don't have to check it out.
I was.
So you can take solace in that fact.
Yeah. That's a good transition, though, because I intended to be a sacrificial lamb for another show this season, which I ended up dropping because I could not bear that cross any longer. And that show is Rent-A-Girlfriend Season 2.
Which DJ has watched.
Yeah, powered through.
Yeah.
Powered through.
You're the real martyr here.
It's, the latter half of this season actually has a little substance, which is kind of surprising because this show has never had any substance at all before.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But Kazuya is still the fucking worst protagonist since school days.
Couldn't handle it.
Yeah, he is horrible. He's unbearable. It makes the show 10 times worse because he's just there. And the girls who, whenever he's not around, are like actual human beings with like human brains. Whenever he's around, their brains melt, I guess. Yeah, because they all like him for some reason, despite him having zero likable qualities. And it's irritating. But it does some like good stuff at the end of season 2 for the first time, and that's cool.
Yeah, I feel like without Kazuya, that show's a solid B.
Absolutely.
It looks great. The character designs are really appealing. The music is really good. Just like overall, everything about it, like pretty good. And then they throw in this fucking dumpster fire of a main character, and I have no more interest in it.
He's so bad. All he does is cry. He just cries and masturbates, and that's literally all he does in every episode. And it's so hard to watch.
And the girls love him for it.
Yeah, that's how you get girls.
Oh yeah, this is peak Chad. Yeah. I want to know though, because like I said, I only got maybe 4 or 5 episodes in. Did this animate that infamous scene where he's like in the pool? Or
no, it does not go that far.
Okay,
I know the scene
you can't say that without explaining it now.
There's like an NTR like daydream fantasy that Kazuya has where he's just like fantasizing about Chizuru, like the main love interest, just getting railed by some random dude. And it's just like a full-on fantasy he has while he's in the pool, and he just gets a huge boner. And that's the whole scene.
Yeah, there's just like an infamous panel of him just like floating underwater with a boner. And it's
I don't know why it exists, but that doesn't happen in season 2. Maybe season 3 if we get lucky.
Yeah, I mean it got announced, right? I think it
that show's too popular to end.
Yeah.
So
I finally get it, at least for the American audience. It's just that people love hate watching.
Oh yeah.
I could not understand why the show was so popular. And then, at Crunchyroll Expo, they have like these ads that are going all the time on the screens. And most of them, people were like, yeah, whatever, except Chainsaw Man, where everyone lost their shit every time. But every time Rent-A-Girlfriend came up, everyone would just explode into this mix of cheering and booing and disgust and excitement. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. People people love their shitty meme watches. That's what this is all about.
That's why I watch it. I watch it because I hate the protagonist and I really like one of the girls.
Kazuya's just an anime soy jack. You know, he's just like a
He is
beta male.
What's after, like, what's worse than beta? Charlie?
Yeah, just like
He is a Charlie male. Fucking beneath beta. He is the lowest of the low.
yeah.
He doesn't deserve to be in the same country as girls. And
As just girls, period.
girls.
Yeah.
He just can't be anywhere near them.
Yeah, I was when you guys first started talking about how bad he was, I was gonna go, how bad is he? But then you just kept going, and now I totally understand.
Yeah. Oh, it's awful. This season though, I didn't have as hard of a time. Like I didn't physically cringe as hard as the first season, because there were parts in the first season where some of the dialogues I had to like take my headphones off and like pause it and like breathe and just be like, okay, okay, let me gather myself, let me drink some water, let me like clear my head a bit, and then we'll listen to the rest of this dialogue. But I don't know, maybe it's just because Kazuya, I just understood what he was at this point and was like, yeah, that's what he would do and how he would react. So
He also has less screen time this season, which is a good thing when they take away screen time from the protagonist.
yeah.
And
Always a sign of confidence.
yeah, that makes him a lot more likable because you see less of him. He's fine when he's not around, I guess. Yeah. As a concept of him existing, that's fair. He can do that. Just do it silently.
So is he really that bad all the time in terms of
All the
like
time.
I was gonna clarify, like, even when he's like not around girls?
Even his good moments are unbearable.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
that scene you guys just described, he wasn't around girls, right?
No, yeah, exactly. Like Cain, when he's not around girls, he's thinking about girls getting fucked, and he jacks off because he's just like, oh man, I wish that was me.
I wish.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
He sounds like if he wasn't in an anime, he would just be a straight up like incel dude.
He is. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what he is.
It's just that since he's in an anime, he has all these girls all over him.
Yep.
Why is the perfect self-insert?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
DJ,
Yeah,
congratulations.
Yeah, for real. I
Thanks,
wish I could
guys.
give you a medal.
It took a lot, but I did it.
If you can watch Rent a Girlfriend, you can watch Made in Abyss.
When you say it like that, I just feel like such a shitty human being. It's
But
like,
also, how dare you mention
yeah,
this in
I
the
know.
same
It's
sentence?
like, why did I spend my time on that when I could watch
Also
something
true.
I know I will like more? That is very up my alley, and that won't fill me with rage. Why did I do this to myself?
Nice. Yes.
Goodness gracious. All right. So we have passed the 2-hour mark, so we can talk about, one or two more. I don't want to hold anybody here, especially here on the East Coast, namely me.
Fuckers.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
Kestrel's like, I
Whatever.
haven't even eaten dinner yet. It's
Yep.
But is there any shows that we haven't covered that anyone wants to talk about in particular? I know we got a lot of the good, like, top ones, it feels.
I can briefly touch on my 4 and 5 because I feel like they're noteworthy to some extent.
I want to know first is the amount of exclamation points you put accurate.
Yes, that is copied directly from my anime list.
Wow.
It has the most exclamation points out of any show, I think. I think
Okay,
Keijo was the previous record holder.
I know Keijo had a lot.
Yeah, I think Teppen beats it. But yeah, Teppen, I really, really like this show. It's that really weird, like, niche, absurdist, super dry anime comedy style that you don't see that often. Like, the only shows I can think of that mimicked it off the top of my head are things like Minami K from like fucking, I don't know, 1920 and Wasteful Days of High School Girls, which I adore. Teppen is just an ensemble comedy of a really specific comedic style, and they're all competing to be the best at that style and like win a contest. And it's just constant, fast-paced humor, and I loved it. And it's just weird. But Shine Post, this was like, I guess I can call it the hidden gem to me of this season, because after the first couple episodes, it seems just like another generic idol bait show. But it's actually really well written and a really solid, just normal idol anime without any weird quirks. Like they're not idols in space, or they're not idols that play hockey or roller skate or anything like that. It's a normal idol show about a shitty idol group trying to not be shitty anymore, and it's really well done, and all the characters are really likable, and it's just really good for that genre. But yeah, those are the two that I just wanted to touch on that I think are getting overlooked by most people.
Bran, how about you?
I think the only other one I wanted to touch on was probably JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, because the second batch of Stone Ocean dropped on Netflix a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago at this point. The only thing I really wanted to say about it, and not to beat a dead horse, but I'm gonna beat the shit out of this horse. Netflix, very much in the way that binge culture is the way that they need to deliver their content, really does ruin my experience watching JoJo's. And that's mainly because when I started watching, when part 3 started airing and all the way up to part 5, there was just something special about being able to just like talk about all the wild, crazy shit episode by episode, week by week with the community, and be able to just everyone memes and gets excited for like individual stand battles and moments. And when it all just comes out in a batch, it just feels like the conversation isn't even there. Because even my like IRL friends that watch JoJo, we've barely talked about it because we all watch it at a different pace and we don't know like where people are. And by the time you get through it, it's like, how would you just be like, oh yeah, remember this fight? Yeah, that was a cool one, I guess. Or like, oh, that was wild when Jolene did that shit. But I don't know, just JoJo Fridays, it's a part of my soul that is no longer applicable. And it's a real bummer because I don't have any problems with Stone Ocean. I know a lot of people say that it's like the weakest part, and I can see a little bit why. I feel like some of the battles in this specific section weren't as well done, or like some of the abilities were a little bit wonkier, even by JoJo standards. But it's just the fact that the community can't experience it the way that I feel like it should be experienced really just hindered the overall enjoyment of the show for me, and I think that's a bummer. And also, they didn't make a new OP for this or ED for this part, which also feels like a big betrayal, because I feel like JoJo is very well known for their like amazingly done, like Kamikaze Doga's 3D OPs are always such a spectacle to look at, and then the American songs in the EDs are always like fun to see, like what's Araki gonna pick this time. And I don't know, not having a new pair of themes was kind of a bummer. But yeah, I love JoJo's, but Netflix doesn't want me to, so that's a bummer.
Yeah, I agree with all that. It sucks that we have to wait 9 months between parts of it, and then it all gets dumped at once, and the conversation is over in a weekend. It's a very episodic show. Like, Cyberpunk, you're following one story to its horrible, depressing completion. JoJo is very much stand of the week. You got a week to talk about it and think about it and wonder what crazy shit's going to happen next week. So just having to go through all that and, feeling like you're behind on the conversation if you're not binging it all at once, it's definitely a bummer, especially since the gaps between the different parts are so long. And yeah, it was weird to not have new themes as well. Although I am just glad that Part 6 brought back Kamikaze Doga.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if it was a rumor or if it was confirmed, but I thought I remember reading somewhere that Netflix plans to stray away from the binge model for certain properties and do weekly releases. So like I'm hoping that's something that they kind of learned with how anime culture is consumed, and God forbid Netflix gets to adapt Steel Ball Run in 10 years, but
that's what I was going to say. I just want Steel Ball Run.
Yeah, I just want Steel Ball Run to have everything it deserves from the infamy that it has. So, yeah, but like I said, we won't know about that for a very long time.
Yeah, that's like my biggest thing is not even I want more Stone Ocean. I want Stone Ocean to be over so we can get Steel Ball Run sooner.
Yeah. And that's, the unfortunate part about it is, like you said, we got to wait 9 more months to even get what I assume would be the final batch of Stone Ocean episodes. But
yeah, I think that's been confirmed because all the Blu-rays are listed.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's about what I got to say about it.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about it on this show, but I definitely recall seeing a similar sentiment in terms of its bingeability, in that a show that's as popular as JoJo still relies a lot on hype stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, that building hype between episodes weekly, and then when you get that binge, you don't get that hype.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, is like Part 5 was not my like least favorite part, but I don't know, I enjoyed Part 3 and 4 a lot more, but like just the pure hype that was around Part 5, in that it really, I feel like JoJo hit its stride in the West with Part 5, and like the memes with like Giorno's theme and all the stuff that was happening. Like Part 5 was so fun to watch just because week by week people were just like going insane with the edits and stuff that they made for it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, here's to hoping that things can change.
Yeah.
Jolene can overcome this fate of hers, but not like.
Is there anything else?
I think I'm good.
So I know I always like checking with Kestrel about One Piece, and then it just always turns into, it's good.
I mean, yeah, it's just so good. Like the Wano arc and the material they're getting into now in the anime is just so top notch. The animation, the whole staff is just going all out. It's unbelievable that this is a show that's been airing every week for like 25 years and has over 1,000 episodes. Because yeah, like for the past quite a few seasons of anime, like probably the best cuts of animation and some of the best episodes of anything airing have been from One Piece, just consistently throughout this arc. So yeah, it's incredible that it exists.
I am officially in the Wano arc in the manga now.
Nice.
My summer read through One Piece has been very fruitful, and I am only about 150 chapters from being caught up.
I was going to say,
you
got 150 chapters of Wano.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Well, it's quite the roller coaster.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've been kind of doing like reading and then there's like watching episodes that I think would be like good watches and stuff. So I think that's how I'm going to do it until, because I know like the end of Wano anime stuff is where everything just starts going batshit insane. So I'm definitely going to be bouncing between them until I'm caught up.
Yeah, I'll shoot you some key episodes you need to watch. Like there are episodes in the thousands in One Piece where I would have like DJ watch just because they're like some of the best directed episodes of anime I've ever seen.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely shoot me that info.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, if that's
real.
If that's basically everything, we can probably move on to recommendations if anybody had any to wrap up the evening.
I have a few.
Hey, lay 'em on us.
The first one we touched on earlier in the news section. Carol and Tuesday is available for pre-order. You can't buy it yet, but it comes out in December, and you should get it because it's great. But also, in addition to that, I've noticed that Sentai is re-releasing a lot of shows from the early 2010s for some reason, which I don't quite understand, but I like two of them a lot. So you should also pre-order the re-release of Humanity Has Declined and Sakura Trick. But only Sakura Trick if you really like lesbians, because it is a very, very, very Yuri show.
I think to clarify, if you like lesbians in anime so much that you want the entire show to be nothing but that.
Yes. Yeah, that's the whole show. It's so cute that it is like vomit inducing. It's hard to watch with how cute it is. But Humanity Has Declined is nothing like that at all. It's just really fucking weird. And it's great. And NaNoWriMo does the opening. So you know it's going to be good. And those are my...
One thing about Sentai re-releases, unlike most other companies, especially like Funimation, Crunchyroll, every time they do a re-release, they actually like author new discs. And for those shows where it's been like 10 years since they released them, they get like major audio video subtitle upgrades.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Yep.
They get new cover art too. So I'm probably going to buy both of them because you get complete collections for a little over $30 and they're great shows.
So do you have any recommendations?
I don't think I have anything new to buy. I pretty much went through all the September releases in the last episode. So I will just say catch up on all the shows that are coming back in fall, because there is a lot of them, a lot of big names.
That is a solid piece of advice. Brian, how about yourself?
I would say to make up for my Stone Ocean disappointment, there was recently released a Thus Spoke Kishibe Rohan. Got a physical release in English, and it's a really beautiful hardcover, and I definitely recommend picking that up if you're at all interested in any JoJo side stories from featuring Rohan from Part 4. Really fun stuff. So if you need something to, I guess, bide time until we wait for the last batch of Stone Ocean, that's a good thing to pick up. But I will also just throw my recommendations to the fall anime season as well. Pay attention. There's lots of good shit coming. You will need to be prepared to watch a lot of it. So, yeah.
Very true, very true. I know I was looking over the list the other day, and I'm like, this is going to be my most packed season of recent memory of, like, shows. Like, it'll match this season, since, like, there was Rilakuma and stuff, which, you know, counts, but is not, like, a full, you know, 3-course meal or anything like that. But yeah, I think I was like, there's 5 or 6 shows here that I feel like I have to watch, and there's a couple that I kind of wanna because I'm curious. So it will be a very crammed season. On my side, I don't really have anything anime to recommend. I would say give the new Gundam video game a shot if you like hero shooters. So that's like anime adjacent. It's fun. It has a kind of steep learning curve, especially if you don't really play Overwatch style games. But yeah, it's free to play, so you got nothing to lose even if you hate it.
True.
The graphics are fine. The stages aren't very like detailed, but I think the mobile suits themselves look nice and have a decent amount of detail built into the models, which makes sense because the whole thing is about trying to get you to buy skins and shit for them. But yeah, it's not bad.
Play that instead of Overwatch 2. It's my hot take.
I've heard that's turned into a free-to-play hell.
Oh yeah, they're implementing lots of... I saw today they released like the look at their battle pass and their new like currency and like everything costs more now. So just everyone's being sad about that.
The game is free though.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
that's
The
good.
multiplayer will be. I'm sure
single player
Single
is going to
player.
cost just normal game price.
Yeah.
It's just a completely different model.
Hmm.
Indeed. Well, I think that about wraps it up. So I think we could just roll through the our little goodbyes here. DJ, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at DJ No Style. You can find my game at lessonsandlovegame.com.
Kestrel, how about you?
You can find me on Twitter at FullMetalKioma. You can find the podcast anywhere you find podcasts. Subscribe, rate, and review. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Alexa, fandompost.com. We are on social media at Fandom Post Radio on Twitter and Facebook. Follow us, like our stuff, share it, get in contact with us, and get in contact with us via email, fandompostradio@gmail.com.
And Bran?
Find me at Hellshake Brando on most socials. Yeah, and also I'm writing for the Fandom Post, so look out for my reviews there. I just did a review on Tatsuki Fujimoto's Look Back, which is an amazing little short story. And I don't know what I'm going to be reviewing for this fall season because there's so much and I'm overwhelmed, but maybe I'll do Spy Family Part 2, but we'll see.
I'm looking forward to watching that in particular because Emily is actually farther ahead in the manga. So it's like the first time this has ever happened.
Nice.
So I look forward to see how our opinions differ based off of what she knows and I don't. But yep, and as usual, you can find me basically right here on the podcast. Not a whole lot else going on for social media stuff. So right here is where I am exclusively. But as always, thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed this anime season and will enjoy the next one since it's got a lot of heavy hitters and a lot of heavyweights involved. But until then, thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, do all that good shit. And we will talk to you soon.
Peace out.
Bye-bye.
Episode number
116.
116.
I have 14 shows for next season.
Ooh-wee. I haven't even started compiling my list. I'm not ready.